Hey there, church family and internet friends. I'm Lauren Adkins, the Director of Youth Ministry at Shady Grove United Methodist Church in Short Pump. And over the weekend, I got to sneak down to, or I guess over to Virginia Beach for a few days. A friend of mine has access to a beach house through her family, and she invited me and a few other people. And it was the best time. We just ordered food in and took naps and read books and did social distancing on the beach. It was really awesome. But one of the things I did while we were there is this group of women were out in the ocean swimming together, and I swim out past where the waves were breaking, to where the water is just kind of floating like this, and none of the waves are crashing down on you. And I did this thing that I haven't done since I was a kid, where I laid on my back, I floated on my back, my face facing up, my toes facing up, and I just floated in the ocean and had that feeling of rocking in the waves. And someone said to me, why are you doing that? It's kind of an odd thing to do. It's a little vulnerable to float on your back, not really in the middle of the ocean, but off the shoreline, and not really know what's lurking beneath you or what's coming up at you. And I said, I used to do this when I was a kid. And when I was a kid, I had this feeling of the world getting bigger around me and me getting smaller. And in some ways, I think that made me feel a little insignificant, but it also made me feel very connected. And it made me think of ideas about I would never know every single person in the world. And isn't that amazing that there's so many unique experiences that happen? And that kind of stuff really excited me as a kid. So when I got the chance to do it this weekend, I just sat there, or I laid there, I floated there. I just floated there in the ocean, and I'm doing kind of this number. And it made me feel that same feeling. It made me feel like the world was getting bigger around me and that I was getting smaller, and it was very humbling. And instead of me feeling maybe humbled and insignificant the way I did when I was a kid, I was really intrigued by this idea, but it still made me feel a little small. I actually felt really humbled and terribly significant in that moment of floating on my back in the middle of in the ocean. I just felt so held by the love of God, and I had those feelings of knowing that there are so many unique experiences and stories that I'll never know. But one thing I do know is the love of God. And it is kind of an odd thing to do, to lay or to float on your back in such a vulnerable position, but it reminded me that even in these very uncertain times, the uncertainty we share as a community together, or the uncertainty that I have in my personal life with some stuff I got going on, if I'm able to stop and pause and just be held by the love of God, if I can put myself in a vulnerable position to not try to swim and splash and all that stuff, and just float in the love of God and be held, that I can find so much peace and comfort in that moment. And so I know I talked to you about water last week, and I'm talking to you about water again, but that's because that's how I have such a deep connection with God through the water. And so I would challenge you, what's your place where you can feel humbled and significant in the love of God? So many people say that they feel that way in nature, so they love to hike or garden, or maybe it's through music, listening or singing or playing music, feeling humbled and significant in the love of God. So my prayer for you is that, be it the water, be it nature, be it music, whatever it is, that you can feel humbled and significant in the love of God, and that you can be still and be held even in the hardest of times. Well, that's all for me. I miss you, I care for you, and I'm praying for you. Bye.